I'm in the mood. I'm feeling rude. I'm feeling hot. I want to rock. The feeling exciting. So darling, let's do something. I wanna rub my body on your body. Body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. Your body. I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hook up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my waist. So come on now, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
Calling all Guyanese and friends of Guyana. Join the annual Guyana Independence Celebration in New York on Sunday, August 18th. The Guyana Independence Parade starts at 12 p.m. at Church and Brooklyn Avenues, Brooklyn, and will proceed to Utica Avenue to Glenwood Avenue for the big after-parade concert at 2 p.m. at 1450 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, featuring Guyanese DJs, top Guyanese artists, performances by Super Terry, Gucci Boss, Nia, Katie Cash. But wait, there's more. Natural Black, DJ Posse, an international superstar, live from Trinidad and Tobago. First time in New York, Young Brother live in concert. Tickets cost $20 in advance. For tickets, check Eventbrite. Pam's Bakery, 4620 Church Avenue. Sherman's Restaurant, 410 Utica Avenue. And Caribbean Vision Center, 1012 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn. Celebrate Guyana to the world on Sunday, August 18th. We celebrate in big. Sponsored by Ascent Remediation and Disaster Response and Ascent Handy and Construction.
Somebody has indicated that Waveney Allison and all others, you guys have, yep, that's it, guys. Don't panic. Don't panic. Lemon is at fault, and you guys know what's going to happen. He's going to be fired again. We can't be doing these things, huh? Tom, we cannot be doing these things at all. The operator is going to be fired, or should
Don't
we just
don't
suspend him?
don't
What is
mess
your
with
take?
Lemon. Don't mess with Lemon. No one messes with Lemon. Sorry.
So don't fire him.
No,
No.
that's
All
it.
right, guys. Yeah, people. I mean, it's hard to go back what I just said there, but I was just welcoming all of you in the audience. Thank you so much for sharing the link. And I actually said that those who shared the link already, God is going to bless you. God is going to bless all of you who shared the link. And if you didn't share the link, if you need your blessings, share the link. That's all I'm going to say. Share the link. And this is what you guys can do as well. Um, those of you who watch this show every night, not only share the link, you gotta on Bench Up Radio, the website, the Facebook page that is, um, click on like. In other words, you gotta follow. You gotta follow the page. Share the page to other folks and ask them to like and let them follow as well. We've got to build the audience. You know, Bharat and Jack the PPP, all of these guys, they're running scare as a result of social media. And so you've got to share the link, follow Bench Up Radio page on Facebook. Follow it, guys. Tom Anderson is following it. A lot of his folks are following it too. They might be watching tonight. So, Tom, good night. How are you, sir?
Hey, good night, everyone. How's everyone?
We're doing great. Really, really great. All fired up for the elections November right here in the United States of America. Are you fired up, Tom?
Oh man, you know I am. Hey, all over my website. I'm all over my YouTube page. This is great, man. I mean, I can't get enough of it. This is great.
Yep. So your YouTube page is you gotta we gotta this majority of the folks are Guyanese watching, and so we gotta say YouTube. What's your YouTube? YouTube, as in YouTube. What's your YouTube page? So
it's Last Government Watchdog on YouTube. So that's what you can
Last
find.
Government Watchdog. It's on YouTube.
Yep, I can post the link. I'll post it in the comment section.
Yeah, post it in the comments so that they can. Yeah, indeed. Thank you all. Hey, all of you, good night. I'm not going to call all of your names, but Patricia King is saying all in for election in November. Tom, what's your take? And Tom Anderson, he's there in the audience too as well. He just shared the link. You guys can follow him on YouTube. You can connect to his YouTube page and see what he does as well, away from being a guest on 107.1 FM. Tom, Congress, the Senate, the Republicans, I think they're in minority. The Democrats, of course, get a slim majority. What is your take on the Democrats controlling the Senate and the House? I think it was done under Bill Clinton. What is your take on that?
Well, up until just recently, everyone assumed that the Republicans would probably take over the Senate, and everyone thought the Democrats could take back over the House, right? Is what the assumption was before Kamala Harris went on her ride the past couple of weeks, this explosive ride she's been on. Since then, now that we're in present day, it looks like the Democrats are going to take the Senate, keep it, and they're going to take the House, and they're going to have the presidency. So right now, with the way things are going, and just so the audience knows, so where I'm coming from on this is I'm not guessing on it. I'm not looking at what people are saying about it, and I'm coming up with a good idea. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the campaign finance records. I'm looking at the money trail, and I'm looking at where the different parties are spending their money. And not only am I doing it this year, but I've been doing it going back to 2006. So I have this long history of being able to see national elections in the United States and how they look from the money perspective. And I have never seen in my life, looking at these elections on the money side, such a huge advantage for one party over the other. The Democrats are wiping out the Republicans across the board in all 50 states, up and down the ballot. They've got not only the enthusiasm, but they're putting the money into a ground game. They've got an army on the ground. They got people going out there getting people registered to vote. The Republicans are in total disarray. Most of the money they're bringing in is to push whatever kind of stuff that Trump wants, but it's not for local level races down the ballot. So what's coming is a disaster. And you can go on my YouTube page. I've been warning people here on the Republican side that I know that they're about to lose in a historic way. They don't believe it and they don't see it. And here's the reason why. Okay. In your audience, many of your audience may understand this. Okay. What's happening here in the United States is, and with the media and in our political area, if you look at America, okay, yes, we're very diverse. And yes, we allow people of every color and gender to have a lot of success. But when you look at the top spot in our country, the presidency, no woman has ever had it, right? And on top of that, a black woman. And there's a reason for this, okay? And the reason is that everything we've been doing over here has been from a perspective of basically an elite, out of touch, old white guy. That's just how we're looking at the world. That's how our media is treating the news. It's why Trump does so well and he never goes away, because the way everything is being portrayed is in a way that benefits him the most. Whereas someone like Kamala Harris, our system just isn't set up for people to be able to see what she has to offer. And so it looks like this is all coming up out of nowhere. It looks like she's getting support out of nowhere because our media can't cover this race properly right now. But I can tell you, if they were covering it properly and they could see what's happening behind the scenes with the money, they would see that there's a tsunami coming in that is going to wipe the Republicans out like we've never seen before.
And you've mentioned the control of the House, the control of the Senate. Those are very important things. And I know under Clinton, we've had it maybe for a term or two, control of the House, the Senate, and the White House too, the presidency. But how important is that right now, especially where we are in America, the politics and on issues such as healthcare, such as immigration, such as abortion rights and so forth, gun control? How important is that trifecta, the presidency, the House, and Senate being controlled by one party?
Okay, well, so it's always a big deal. But in this case, it might be the biggest deal ever. Okay, and here's the reason why. Because what you're seeing is not only is there potentially a shift where all three will be controlled by the Democrats, but at the same time, the Democrats have changed their power structure where they've let the old people go and retire and they've let younger people in. And so there's a new generation of Democrats running the show now. So if you combine a new generation of Democrats with, on top of that, them controlling all three branches, the Senate, the House, and the presidency, what you're going to have basically is what we call in American politics a mandate. Okay, anytime a president gets a mandate from an election where they win their race, but they get the Senate and the House, what ends up happening is whatever major issues are on the table for that mandate election, they get cleared off the table. So what are we talking about here? And this is why it's huge. We're talking about Kamala Harris coming in and changing, number one, the entire immigration status in the United States of America. That will be taken care of for the first time in decades. The last time there was a real push on our immigration system was Reagan in the 80s. Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to finally see a push on really getting a real immigration system in place in the United States of America. That is going to happen. The other thing you're going to see is she will have a mandate to go after things like healthcare and entitlements, right? Big deal. She'll have a mandate On all the other issues that they're talking about in this election, she will have a mandate on, and she will be able to get legislation through. And so what will end up happening is we will see such a sea change in America politically. Many in the world may not even recognize us 2 years from now. It will be that much of a change.
Lots and lots of changes indeed. And let's not forget, Tom, you get the first African American. She's Jamaican background, Indian background. She's African American. The first time in history. That's a good. Then you have the school teacher, Walls from Minnesota. Well, lives in Minnesota now, you betcha. And then you have the next person to take up the spot there would be the Speaker of the House. The Deputy Speaker of the House right now is, Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Jeffries. And he is third in line. I mean, not third. After the president, if anything, God forbid, anything happened to the vice president, the next person to hold that spot, the president of the United States, is Hakeem Jeffrey. How powerful is this? How important is this? That you have an African-American woman, first in history as president, and the first in history, an African-American to be in line to be president of the United States of America. Talk about that, please, and the importance.
Okay, look, it's a big deal. That's why, so this is why the Republicans and Trump are losing it, why they are going crazy, why they continue to try to attack Kamala Harris on a personal basis, throw anything against the wall, punching below the belt. They are desperate. And the reason why is because they know if and when they lose, they will have people like Hakeem Jeffries in charge. And when Hakeem Jeffries is in charge, he's coming from a totally different perspective that our Congress has never seen before. All right. Now, for some, they're worried about that and they're scared. And they're like, what's he going to be like? And some people are like, he's a communist or something. Nah, man. What the world is going to be able to see, right, is what America has kind of been hiding for a long time now. We've got some young political talent that's off the chain in our country right now. People don't know about it. Our media, they're not good at exposing it. But boy, we have got some leadership for you coming. And having a guy like Hakeem Jeffries in place, he is only going to allow more people like himself to come up the ranks. And I'm just telling you, man, this is going to be such a change in America. I promise you, your viewers, the world is going to be shocked as to how it will look.
Absolutely. And this is very important. I saw people are just, it's a buzz around that there are people who paved the way for Kamala Harris. And one of those persons happened to be, well, the main person that ran to become the presidential candidate of the Democratic Party was Shirley Chisholm. That's very important for Caribbean nationals as well. Lots of folks, because the history is there, unbought, unsold. How important is that now for Kamala Harris and the back and here? This was many years ago. That's me there, yeah, young me with Shirley Chisholm. How important is this from a historical standpoint, knowing that Shirley Chisholm, one of her parents from Guyana, the other one from Barbados, and now we have a presidential candidate whose dad is from Jamaica and her mom from India. How important is all of this for those who are immigrants, so to speak, who are now voting in the United States of America? Millions of folks, from a standpoint of being proud and this pride and so forth and so on. How important is this?
I mean, it's massive. It's massive, Mark, because one of the things that we tend to forget here in America and as a community as a whole in America and the Caribbean and South America, is that all of us of African descent, we're all from the same place. Now, even though some of us ended up in Jamaica, or some ended up in the United States, or some ended up in Guyana, right? We all came from the same place, and we all had to go through similar struggles here on this part of the planet, right? And so there is a brotherhood there between all of us. And sometimes I think we forget that, right? We look at it like, well, Black Americans aren't the same as Jamaican Americans. Nah, man, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. We all went through the same trials. We all came from the same place. And this is a good way to bring that into fruition for everyone to see with their own eyes, right? It's important for everyone to see this. And here's the bigger issue, right? Up until now, and up until she gets elected, there are people who, both Black and white, who when they see a woman or when they see a woman of color, they can't see leadership no matter how hard they look. All they see is just a woman of color or just a woman. They don't see value there. They don't see intelligence there. There are a lot of things they just can't. They're blinded to it because they have been trained to not be able to see women. Unfortunately, what this will do is force all of those who are blind and can't see women. You will see them now. You are going to see them now, and it's about time.
Indeed. Let's go back to Clinton era, President Clinton era. The largest deportation under Clinton era. They had the opportunity for serious immigration reform when they controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. But yet we saw thousands of folks deported. And the introduction of deportation, the amendment of that to even have folks deported for minor offenses. A lot of Caribbean people, mainly Caribbean people, were upset by that because they expected the Democrats to do more as it pertains to immigration reform.
Yeah.
This time around, because we know the amnesty law passed under Reagan back in 1986, a big deal for immigrants, mainly I'm speaking for those from the Caribbean. This time around, how much confidence you think that folks from the Caribbean should put in the Democrats to do what is right for immigration reform, for DACA, and all these things that have been in limbo for so many years? The Democrats need to do their job. They need to get with the program. Your take on how optimistic folks from the Caribbean should be that the Democrats will not let them down this time around?
Okay, now I hate to prognosticate this way and say, hey, don't worry, they'll be better, because unfortunately the history tells you, the track record says, man, you're always going to be let down by those guys. With that said, if there is an opportunity not to be let down, this is it. And the reason why is because of what you just pointed out, Mark, is that you'll have probably Hakeem Jeffries as the Speaker of the House, right? You'll have Kamala Harris as the president. I mean, you'll have a situation where there's so much power in place, it will be really hard for the Democrats to get it wrong. Just really, really hard, right? The way they usually get it wrong is they get pressured by, in the United States, we call them blue dog Democrats. Okay, blue dogs.
One was in Virginia there, right? That one from Virginia?
Yeah, exactly. You'll find them in more urban areas. They're Democrats who, not urban areas, more suburban areas, but like what they are more socially conservative than your average Democrat. Okay, like they more line up with the Republican Party, basically. And so there aren't many of those left. They ran a lot of those guys out some years ago. So there aren't many of those left. What that means is that this time around, more than likely, it won't be a travesty. They'll actually get the job done on immigration. That if I'm in the Caribbean, I would say more than likely they get it fixed for sure in the next 4 years.
Well, we want them to get it fixed. Millions of not just Caribbean people, but in general, folks from minority, folks from Africa, wherever they are, they just have to get the immigration stuff fixed. Folks thought that uh, Barack Obama would have been able to do that, but a heck of a lot of people were deported under his administration, and so people want an administration to do what is right. Reagan did it in 1986, amnesty. Millions of people were able to adjust themselves. But this time around, I hope it's done properly. And for some reason, I don't know, Tom, I'm getting this feeling that Congresswoman Yvette Clarke might very well get a cabinet position as well. And she's big on immigration. Your prediction on Yvette Clarke?
Hey, that would be amazing. If she got that, that would be well deserved. And she has enough experience that she'd probably do a really good job. Right. So that would be great, actually. And it would open up her position for a young and talented person to fill her spot. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's a win-win-win.
A win-win-win indeed. 31 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm Mark Benshap, Tom Anderson with us this evening. We're talking a little bit about politics, the upcoming elections here in the United States, the presidential elections and congressional elections too, because you're voting for your congressmen and women. Re-elect them, and those who have done a heck of a good job. I've noticed that the Minnesota congresswoman, controversial in the eyes of some folks, she was re-elected. Are you surprised at that?
No. So here's the other one with us, right? So anytime you have an incumbent, our incumbents are winning. If they're in for 2 or more terms, they win, I'd say like 94% of the time, somewhere around that, between 89 and 94% of the time. So
unfortunately, Cory Bush didn't make it, and the other guy from New York.
Well, so the way that they lose is if outside money comes flooding in and just totally knocks them out. Yeah. That's the only way you can do it. So it's really hard to get rid of an incumbent, and especially in the state of Minnesota, not going to be able to do it. More than likely.
Well, they got rid of an incumbent back then, Jesse Ventura, and I think a couple of others. But I got you there. The young lady was reelected in Minnesota. She's going back there. I think you'll probably see a little shift in terms of her views and so forth. But politics. I notice some folks are asking now about that convicted senator, the convicted senator. Tom, you did a lot of work there behind the scene, I suspect. But before we get to that, Wisconsin, the Midwest, Wisconsin doesn't look good for Trump. A couple of his candidates have lost. Any surprise there, Tom?
No, man. I mean, like I said, if you look at the money, they are looking real bad. The Republicans, I mean, terrible. I've never seen it this bad before. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, the only way I can make sense of it is they're trying to lose, because there's no other way to explain what you see on paper.
You know what? Also, Tom, I have never seen so many Republicans endorsing a Democrat. I've never seen that. Yes. Is it surprising to you? Some guys all the way down at the right, in the middle.
Here's what's happened. Well, if you think about it, right? Well, here's what's happened. Okay. So in the 80s and the 90s, in the 2000s, if you were coming at the world from a perspective of an old, elite, rich white guy, you were most likely going to be successful and you can handle whatever was coming your way, right? But in today's world, in 2024, that perspective doesn't give you everything you need to know, right? You're not seeing everything from that perspective anymore. There's a huge world out there now that exists outside of their viewpoint. And so what we're seeing now is a group of people who are led by old elite white guys who their minds were great in the 80s, but in today's modern world, for example, when they look at someone like Kamala Harris, the only thing they see is a colored woman. They don't see any value in her. They don't see any intelligence there. They don't see anything other than she's just a colored woman, and that's just what she is. And so when you have that situation where your party's being led by people who can't even see who Kamala Harris is as a person, how can you beat her? If you can't see her, you can't beat her. And so that's the issue with these guys. They are blind. And they don't want to accept it because they don't want to accept that, oh, for the first time in our history, viewing the world as a rich old white guy makes you blind now. They don't want to accept that, right? So that's why MAGA exists, to bring the country back to the place where the only thing that works is the perspective of an old rich white guy. That doesn't work anymore. And you know what? It's not even working around the world anymore. Okay. So that's where a lot of this shock is coming from, a lot of the anger, a lot of the surprise, a lot of the contention in our country is coming because there are so many powerful, rich, old white guys who are so blind right now, but they don't want to accept it. That's what we're living through. And that's what you all are seeing on the outside, looking at us. Why it looks kind of crazy. That's what's happening to us right now. It's amazing.
Amazing indeed. We are seeing also a lot of those rich, lots of those rich white men are also pouring their support in the camp of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Some people say Kamala Harris. Points well taken, Tom. Once you address this issue, because we're going to go to Guyana, because I want us to go to Guyana and have a drink. Tonight is Friday night. You can't come into my house and I not offer you a nice glass of water. We will be touching that. Oh yeah. Oh yes, Tom. A glass of water from the pipe. Yep. But before we get to that, though, I want to ask. I noticed there was a comment there from Sean Withers said, blame Trump's issues on J.D. Vance rather than of them, or neither of them are popular or likable. How much J.D. Vance has damaged the campaign for Trump?
Yeah, I mean, if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see I before they announced that was the pick, I predicted they would pick him. And I predicted it would be a disaster. And I even said why they would pick him. I said, look, the reason why they're going to pick J.D. Vance is because they know they can own his soul. Okay. What I meant by that was he's so young and clueless about what's going on that they can control that man. He doesn't he doesn't have enough experience to know what's going on. He just doesn't. And so I said at the time, I said, hey, if they want to win an election, they need to go with someone that's more of a grown adult. And I said Marco Rubio. Now, Marco Rubio isn't the best guy for people in Guyana or Venezuela or other places, right? But what that said,
Marco Rubio has been very soft on Maduro. Something is going on there. So
something's weird, right? So that's what I'm saying. So something strange is there. But with that said, right, Rubio would have been the pick if you wanted to win if you're Trump. Because Rubio is a grown man. And Rubio he knows what's happening in the world. He may not be telling the truth half the time, but he knows what's going on. Okay. Whereas J.D. Vance, I don't think he really knows what's going on half the time. Okay. And so, yes, I knew this would be a disaster because you can't bring someone in who's clueless half the time and doesn't know what's going on. And yeah, you own his soul and he's going to do whatever you say. But in today's world, that's not enough. Like in our country, as big as it is, you can't just have some puppet as vice president. You have to have a warm body with a real brain that actually does stuff. You got to have it. And so, yeah, they made a massive mistake. And now they're backpedaling and there's nothing they can do about it. And unfortunately, every time they try to get back up off the ground and dust themselves off to try to do some more, what happens is J.D. Vance is asked to be an adult, and it just doesn't come off as real because he's not that guy. And what really hurts them more than anything is she picked the total opposite of this guy, JD Vance, in Tim Walz. Tim Walz he's a real dude, a real man, like a real dude, right? So that you can just see, man, JD Vance, he's not ready for this. Okay, he's just not. So yeah, there's a lot of blame to be put there, but it's not his fault. They should have never picked him. Okay, that was their mistake. They shouldn't have done it. But now they got to live with it.
There goes Walz. Going there, blue collar workers, people seem to love him. They love the 60-year-old compared to JD. There's no vibrancy. There's nothing there at all. No brain, because just imagine the number one and number two persons occupying the White House, so to speak. They have no brain, none whatsoever. America cannot deal with that. It doesn't matter because J.D. Vance dressed up as he dressed up there with his nice wig and his makeup. And, Trump and the Republicans, they don't like that. But J.D. Vance seemed to embrace that. He's running from that now, though. But the Caribbean, Guyana, South America, Jamaica, and other places, how important is a Kamala presidency to the Caribbean?
I mean, it's massive, man, because here's been our problem. Okay. And Trump will perpetuate this problem if he's reelected in the Caribbean. Up until now, over the last 70 years, our policies have been essentially Cold War era policies. And everyone who's been in charge has been people who were from the Cold War era, basically, right? Barack Obama was a break from that. He's not from that,
Bill Clinton was a break from that.
He was a break from that too. But
George Bush Jr., even though
Bush was, because he had Cheney in there. He was a Cold War guy.
Oh, Cheney. Yeah.
Trump is a big time Cold War guy. Okay, and so even though he doesn't understand the history of the Cold War era and so forth, but that's right.
From that era.
Yeah, but he's from that period, and his brain works like that. The way their brains work from the Cold War period, because
I'm sure if you ask him about the Soviet Union and so forth, and Mikhail Gorbachev and so forth, he probably doesn't even know that history.
No, he barely knows any of that. Exactly. No, for sure. But with that, but his perspective fits right on in with a lot of these Cold War guys, right? Well, that's a big problem in the Caribbean these days. You cannot function if you're leading America from the perspective of the Cold War and think you're going to have good policy in the Caribbean and the South. It's just not going to happen. You can't base your policy. You can't have policy in the Caribbean coming from a perspective of the Cold War. It just doesn't work. So that's a good thing if Kamala Harris wins. What you were going to see for the first time in a while. And by the way, Biden is a Cold War guy too, by the way. Biden is Cold War.
So, yeah, he's been there for 35 plus years, Senate, yeah.
Right, and so what you'll have if Kamala Harris wins, you will have officially, for the first time, the end of Cold War policies. Not because she's running on ending them. No, she can't do it because she's not from the era, and all the people around her will not be from. All these people are going to be retired and gone. This is it, right? And so, what does America look like post Cold War era mentality? That's what the Caribbean will look like with our policy going forward with Kamala Harris.
Let's not jump the gun, though. We got the Speaker of the House. Hakeem, he's now deputy, but once everything goes well, he will be the Speaker of the House. And the Senate, we've got to watch the Senate, even though if the Democrats regain control of the Senate, you have a Cold War era guy there, Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer, I know.
What's going to happen there? Is there a replacement, a post Cold War era person there, other than a Cold War era Chuck Schumer?
You would, right? You would hope so, but I think Chuck Schumer's too powerful, man. That guy, if he wants that, he's going to have it. With that said, it's okay, because from what I've seen with his policies, he's not so bad. The bottom line is a Kamala Harris presidency will be a boon for the Caribbean, I believe. Economically, it will be a boon for the people of the Caribbean. Socially, I think our immigration will be revamped, so we will have better relations with everyone. I mean, it will just be, I think, a really, really good thing, and the people of the Caribbean will see a new face of America they haven't seen before, which is really good.
You know, Tom, we've heard that with Bill Clinton. I know Yvette Clarke and all those other, sorry, not Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, her mom. Lots of Caribbean people, lots of Caribbean leaders, lots of Caribbean people went out, voted for Bill Clinton. We're like, yeah, Clinton is going to be the guy going to do this and so forth. I mean, it's not like he was a total disaster, disappointment. But when people go out and vote, they want to vote on issues that are closest to their heart, such as immigration for Caribbean people. That is very important. Of course, healthcare and these things, but number one on the list is immigration. They have lots and lots of Caribbean nationals who are ducking and hiding. They don't want a situation where they have to duck and hide and look out for ICE and being deported and their families being split up and divided and all these things. Immigration reform has to be top of the agenda. And this time around, it's got to be serious. Too many people are being deported for little, I mean, the serious crimes, we could understand that, but little crimes, no. This time around, I'm feeling optimistic, just as you are feeling optimistic, but we've got to make it happen. It's got to happen, Tom.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will. And I mean, I think from with the way the direction is going on this, and hopefully it will happen. And by the way, I have a little bit of experience with this. Just growing up in Miami, you know, I've been around a Caribbean immigrant community my entire life, right? And so I 100% understand what's going on with the Caribbean families in the United States, and I know what the challenges are and how difficult it is. It's the one thing I do know is this, man. I can promise you this. Having a president and Kamala Harris for an issue like immigration, you couldn't want anything better than that. You couldn't get anything better than that, because she is going to come at this from a perspective that our country has never had before. Seriously. Even when Obama was in office, I believe her perspective is much better and much more aligned with the people of the Caribbean than anyone actually realizes.
You know, I noticed one of the comments that we have here from Forbes Mendoza is Clinton did his best where immigration is come on, Forbes, come on. The largest numbers of deportation and so forth, lots of deportation. Come on, and there were some other laws that were signed that makes it easier to deport individuals. Even if you're driving without a license, you'll be deported. For minor crimes, you'll be deported. I mean, I like Clinton, yes, but more should have been done with that. I noticed this. This is a comment. Listen to this. P. Alicock, whoever P. Alicock is, P. Alicock. Kamala Harris will not win the election. That's according to this person. She may have to step down as the candidate. What sort of ludicrous is this, Tom? Why is this person is entitled to his or her view, but why should she have to step down?
Well, that's one of the problems that we have in our society, and hopefully her winning will reverse this. Okay, I'm telling you, there are so many people, men and women, okay, and of every race, who when they see a woman like Kamala Harris, they don't see anything but a human with hair and like a chest, and that's it. Like they just can't see anything else. And so that's why all you will hear from them are negative comments about Kamala Harris. They will have nothing good to say because they literally can't see anything good in her at all.
And sometimes the things, while people are expected to have an opinion of their own, sometimes it's got to make sense. Who says that Kamala Harris is going to step down next month? That kind of threw me off. I was like, wow, you couldn't be serious, whoever P. Alicock is.
There's a lot of hate towards Kamala Harris, man. and there's a lot of hate coming from the black community here at her. I think it's people trying to get attention, people trying to get clicks. They're trying to show that they're smart. They can come with some new angle, or
But
they know more about politics. But
that
come
wasn't a
on, man.
smart. That wasn't a smart comment there from a political. This wasn't at all. P. Alikaka, I don't know, but that wasn't smart at all.
Exactly.
Anyways, we want to touch on, of course, Hakeem Jeffries could very well be the next, very close to becoming the first African American Speaker of the House. In fact, he's the first African American to be in the position of Deputy Speaker of the House. It's never happened before. And this is a really, really important era for all of us. Hence, you've got to go out, you've got to vote so that history is in the making. Not just vote for the sake of history, vote for individuals who are going to fight for you. Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, will fight for you, will fight for your rights, not just for immigration, but also for health care, for probably reform of the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court. Tom, before we go to Guyana, because I'm feeling a bit thirsty, I'll be honest with you. It's Friday night. What's your take on reform of the United States Supreme Court? Badly needed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we've got a corruption problem in our highest court. We've got a situation where basically they're operating on it's just Scout's honor. Like no one's checking what they're doing. No one's requesting that they fill out any. They just basically say, hey, we're not going to do anything bad. You just have to trust us on it. Is the system we're running on now. And that's got to go, man. No one can be trusted that way. I'm sorry. So yeah, there's going to be reform there. And you know what? They brought it on themselves.
But you've got to keep them in check because look at all of the allegations leveled against Justice Clarence Thomas. Conflict of interest, serious matters. It cannot go unchecked because they sit there for a lifetime. And maybe they will talk about reforming in terms of making it not a lifetime, but once you serve maybe for 25 years or so, that should be sufficient, amended to that because for a while it has been that way. But how optimistic are you, though, that the Democrats in control of both the House and the Senate and the presidency, of course, that they will add a few more judges in the Supreme Court?
Probably highly likely. Highly likely. And they're going to add some type of new ethics protocols and other things, right? To make so these guys can't just do what they've been doing, which is just running loose, going on private jets everywhere, free vacations,
free gifts from their
everything
friends,
you can think of,
their rich friends.
Yeah, even their kids' schools being paid for, homes being bought for parents. I mean, come on, man, it's too much.
It's way too much. Close to retirement? I know the Chief Justice Roberts, he's not anywhere close. Clarence Thomas seems as though he has a few more years. There's really no one there for any retirement during the course of the 5-year presidency of Kamala Harris. No retirement there, so they're going to have to do some serious reforming of the United States Supreme Court. Let's go to Guyana as we... Are you ready for this, please, Tom? Because we're going all the way to a place called Philippi. Not Philippi, where I grew up on the quarantine, but Philippi is a different region, a different part of Guyana where kids have to go to school. And this is how the kids have to be in school, Tom. You want to take what's your take on that? $1 billion economy, oil, and all these things. What's happening? Your take, school children?
Yeah, this is where, like, I think I saw Jagdeo's his press conference a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that all of Guyana is one big construction site, and it's proof that the PPP is using the oil money properly and building up the infrastructure, and it just takes time, and you will reap the benefits. Well, maybe true, but when you see stuff like this, it's like, the country, you gotta you got to have your kids learning, and you got to have
Yep.
them in a place where they can learn, man. And in a situation like that, yes, they can learn that way, but I know it's got to be hot, and I know that can't be easy.
It certainly
Okay.
can be easy, but Jack Deere and the PPP, they had 23 years. They haven't done anything at all to develop the country. And so all these broken promises now, they promise 50,000 jobs. There's no job. Lots of young people out of university, out of high school, they can't get anything to do. But the folks who are connected to the PPP, connected to Jack Deere, connected to Air Finale, those are the ones who are benefiting. We hear ministers of the government, they're so corrupt, they're building apartment buildings, their kids are rich, their kids have contracts, hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts. Lots of controversy now with the Minister of Agriculture and his family, lots of controversy with the Minister of Housing, lots of controversy, with almost all of the ministers in Guyana, in the government. Lots of them, quite a few of them have gotten their visas, their U.S. visas revoked. I want Jack Deere to talk about that at his next press conference. But Tom, you just saw the classroom. When the kids have to go to use the washroom, the toilet, whatever it is, in America, even some other parts of Guyana, the private schools and some public schools, they go to a nice, at least a halfway decent toilet. But the kids at this school, guess what, Tom? Here's where they have to go. This is where they have to go. Little girls, little boys, this is where they have to go. Teachers have to go there too. This is a latrine. I don't know if you've seen that growing up, but this is a latrine. I have used something like this many, many years ago in Guyana. It used to be fun. You go in there with a newspaper and you're happy. But times have changed. $1 billion economy. Jack Deere and Air Fund, they love to jump up and talk, but it's the fastest growing economy. Let them just flush it down or throw it down here. This is a little hole. This is a latrine. Have you seen one, or have you used one of these here, Tom?
Man, I've seen a lot, man. I have never used one of those, or I've seen them. I've never used one. And I've never seen an active one before, by the way. I've seen them so old, no one has used it in probably decades, but never an active one. That's pretty shocking.
How would you feel if your kids had to use something like this at school, Tom? You're paying taxes.
Yeah.
You are living in a country, let's say you were in Guyana, $1 billion, billions and billions of dollars oil revenue. But this, Tom, for kids?
Well, I'll give you an example, right? So when a few years back, when my children, I went to my kids' school, first day of school, and I noticed that throughout the entire school, I didn't see a single laptop computer, not one. And I was shocked because I knew that the year before that the school district had spent something like $400 million to get every single student their own laptop. The school district I'm in is the 4th or 5th biggest in the nation, in America. So it's a huge school district. And they spent like $400 million to get every single student a laptop. And when I went into my kid's school, there wasn't a single laptop in the entire school. And I thought, well, this isn't right. And so, yeah, I went about it. And within a week, there was a big, huge 18-wheeler in front of my kid's school, and they were unloading pallets full of laptop computers, right? But with that said, the corruption is here too. And those computers that were not in my kid's school, they were getting ready to be sent out to somebody else somewhere where someone was going to make some money, right? So the corruption's here too. No matter where you are in the world, if corruption is allowed, it will happen. It doesn't matter where you are. And so when we're talking about stuff like this, and for the students, what it's going to take is what I just said, and I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. It's going to take what I did with my kids. The local people are going to have to get together, and they're going to have to show the government how to get the job done. That's the only way to do it. and the locals are gonna have to come in here. They're gonna work with some business people. They're gonna get a bathroom for these kids, man. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way it's going to get done. You cannot complain and whine and wait for the PPP to get it done. No, the locals have to get together, work with your business people, get it done for the kids. If you don't do it that way, it's never going to get done, and that's how it is here, even in America, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's even more so rampant in Guyana. Corruption is so every single day you hear about officials of the government corrupt. They're being investigated by U.S. law enforcement agencies. Their visas are being revoked. Right now, about 4 to 5 senior government officials in the PPP install regime, their visas have been revoked. Businessmen, so-called businessmen, and some of their family members, their visas have been revoked. And look, shame on the Minister of Housing. Shame on Priya Manik Chan. You know, Tom, growing up, this brings back a lot of memories to me because I've used this as a little boy. And one of the good things, though, that came out of this, we were very smart kids in the villages. We were very smart. If someone goes to use this outside latrine, this toilet, as we call it, toilet, that's the pit, that's the little hole. You sit down there, however you want to sit. But as soon as someone comes out of that toilet, you can tell whether they ate curry, cook-up, black pudding, or whatever. And so we were very smart kids. And so that was one of the good things out of the latrine. But that was many years ago. The kids should not have to suffer. The kids shouldn't be using that any longer. It's unhealthy. People are dying every day right now in Guyana. They're being infected by what is called dengue fever. Somebody died yesterday, I know, elderly guy from South. He died as a result of dengue fever. People are getting sick every single day. All of these things happening, Tom, and yet Irfan Ali and Jack Dale, they love to say Guyana is the fastest growing economy in the world. I don't know who's lying to them. Maybe this Jumbie bird is lying to them because a lot of these Jumbie birds are being put up around roundabouts and wherever, millions of dollars to these whatever they want to call it, birds. I don't know. Tom, I know we're looking at the time here. As you look into Guyana, there's not any much hope under the PPP regime. What is your message to the Guyanese people? Please, sir.
Yeah, always. My message will consistently stay the same, Mark. And there is so much good in Guyana, right? And there is so much good to come. The issue is the people have to take their own destiny in their own hands, and you can't wait for the government to do right by you. You have to do right by yourselves, right? And that doesn't mean anarchy. No, what it means is doing as much as you can within your families and your communities without the need of the government. You got to, because if that's how the country is operated, where every man and woman, every child throughout the country is doing their business that they need to get done, working together to get their stuff done, regardless of the government, things will come together fine for Guyana. Okay. But it's going to take that. Now, how do people do that without any real leadership pushing for that? I don't know. It's going to take leadership to push for this. Okay. But it's going to take more than just one leader. You can't just depend on one person. You have to depend on a lot of people. And a lot of people just have to step up. Okay. And that, to me, I think that's the future there. And I think it's a bright future. With that said, what I'm hearing on the outside here with corporate clients I have and people I'm talking to politically and stuff, really, the doors have opened wide open. Many people from Canada and United States are really coming down to Guyana to invest money. I think things are going to look incredibly different over the next year or two in Guyana. And I think it all depends upon the people of Guyana on the ground to organize and get their stuff together and be prepared for all the good that is coming. Okay. And I understand that the PPP has serious corruption issues. Yes, I know better than anybody. But with that said, the best answer to that is to have the people doing what they need to do to make sure the country is running, and kind of, I'm not going to say ignore those guys, but the only time you need to pay attention to them is when you vote against them, I guess, if you don't want them there. Otherwise, right, I think the focus should be on the locals. It should be on each other, and it should be on trying to build each other up and get the country run properly from the ground up, right? And the only way the country can be run from the ground up is if people on the ground are organizing to do it. And that's been my message from the beginning, and I will continue with that message, man, because I think Guyana is one of the countries in the world that can get this done that way. And I can see a future where, and I've said it before, where Guyana is a leader in the Caribbean and in South America. And where is it leading? In places like education, in places like government, right? Healthcare. There's so many things. And not only that, but you got mining, you have the oil, have all that too. But Guyana has a chance to be a leader in areas that maybe only the Cubans were leading in. Guyana has that chance now, and it has to come from the bottom up for it to be done.
Can't disagree with you there at all, Tom. Not at all. The people, if you guys are listening, stop depending and this politician and go. We see that they're not going to go out. Majority of those who are supposed to go out and stand up for your rights, they're not going to do it. So go out and do what is right for you. Francine Cruz saying, "Hey Tom, I would disagree with you. You don't know Guyana. The PPP criminal enterprise has made the people mentally ill." Well, the criminal enterprise, don't worry, Francine. Don't worry about the criminal enterprise, ma'am. Before we go, Tom, I can't. You must be thirsty. Just imagine billions of dollars they make in Guyana, and this is what the water system under the coalition, under David Granger's presidency. Let's say good night to David Granger. A lot of good things happened under his presidency, including good water. But look at what people have to bathe with. They have to drink this water. They have to do whatever else, wash dishes and so forth. How unacceptable this is, Tom?
Yeah, this is rough, man. I mean, that's, in a land where you have bountiful water, you've got bountiful resources, the water has to be right, man. I mean, you talking about spreading disease like crazy, and dengue fever, everything else you could imagine. That's just it. Like, unfortunately, everyone, what is happening now, and you can see, is growing pains. Yeah, this is one of those things where at the end of the day, if things aren't handled properly, then things can go in a wrong way, and not handling the water can make things go in a wrong way, right? You got to have the water, man. You got to have food and water. That's almost, it's the most important thing a government can do, is provide food and water to the people.
and this is, just imagine there are kids who have to drink this water. Little boys and girls who can't afford better water because they're being.
It looks like it looks like you could get an infection just by putting your hands in it, not even drinking it, just touching it.
Look at the difference. Look at the difference, Tom. Our kids can drink like this, but there are thousands of kids in Guyana right now. Thousands. And what about the senior citizens? What about those folks? They have to bathe with that water. They have to drink that water. They have to wash clothes with that water. And Myrna, how are you? Guyana is known as the land of many water. Land of many water. Land of many water. The water stinks. Sugar is bitter. No jobs in the country. Corruption is rampant. Officials in the government, their visas are being revoked. Corrupt businessmen, they're being sanctioned. Visas are being revoked. All manner of things. Poor Guyana, the PPP has got to go. People have this thing that they say, Tom, in order for Guyana to grow, the PPP must go. And notice P. Alicok still stuck on Trump, Trump, Trump. He's not listening, or she's not listening to anything we're saying, you know. Nothing. They're not listening to anything. Who is P. Alicok, man? He's not paying attention to us in the class. You're suspended. He's still on Trump. Or
no, he's saying that the election was stolen in 2020.
Oh, man. This guy, who's that? We got to find out who P. Alicok is. It's such a distraction. We're talking about Guyana and the water. No contribution there from P. Alicok. Half hour ago, still with Trump. Gosh, man. Chisel Chill Pepper 68. Who is this guy, P. Alicok? You guys find out. Is it a distraction? Conrad August is late. Tom, as we lighten up the moment, if ever you see this guy, wherever you live, run as far as possible. His views are way out of place. But he used to be a good guy until he starts to go to that a particular motel in Georgetown and drink Hennessy and all these things. Conrad August. Good night, Conrad. Hope you're doing good, my friend. He has some weird views too, you know, very, very weird views. I just got a text from a friend of mine in the media. $1 trillion economy. Sugar and rice shortage in Guyana right now, Tom. Sugar and rice shortage in Guyana. Sugar and rice shortage. Let's play this before we go. We got to play it. Sugar and rice shortage. But before I go, because I don't want to forget, Den Amstel. This weekend, big show at Den Amstel Community Center. Rhonda Lane is having her show. When is it? It's Sunday, right, Rhonda? Sunday. Rhonda Lane is having her show out in Den Amstel. You guys have to go out. Call her. Support her show. Go out there. See what you guys can take people to the show, guys. Den Amstel Community Center. Sunday. You've got to be out there. Right, Rhonda Lane? Go out and support Rhonda. Thank you, guys. But cost of living and all these things. Listen to this.
They're saying
Jesus Christ. If cost.
Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
They're saying P. Alicok is Kwame McCoy. I think Renee said that.
It could be her. I mean, it could be, but take a listen to this, Tom.
Oh, Jesus Christ. If cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You got to get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You got to get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Cost of living is so much. Cost of living. Tom, as always, I want to thank you so much, and even thank all of our listeners, wherever you are. P. Alicok, Betin, who Kamla, we're done with that. We're done. You could tell, you know, Renee might be right, you know. You could tell. You just don't know when to haul off. Just figure we're done with Kamala Harris issue over 45 minutes ago. Every minute, we got to keep an eye on who P. Alicok is, maybe office of the president, because the PPP don't want a change of the presidency, at least in the hands of a Kamala. They know what will happen to them, and especially to have Speaker of Congress there, Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, they won't be able to get away with a lot of stuff that they can get away with. I mean, it's not going to happen, man.
As we oftentimes say, they're going to get belly walk. Yeah. And when they get belly walk, you know where they're going. I don't know if you heard that term before, but when you get belly walk, here's where you end up. Tom, thank you so much for your time, man. Is there anything else you wish to say before you go, sir?
That's it. Right. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. No, thank you, everyone. And thanks again for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yep. And thanks, as oftentimes, you know, you're always willing, even at the last moment. Lots of people appreciate you, man. Lots of Guineas people appreciate you, Tom. Thank you so much. A lot of things you've done behind the scene to make Guyana a better place. And I personally, I thank you and I applaud you for that on behalf of all of our listeners. And we didn't get a chance to talk about Menendez, man. What's going on? He's going to
Oh,
jail.
he told the the New Jersey Board of Elections that he will not be running as an independent. So he is no longer a politician. He will officially resign next Tuesday, but the word on the street is he will get a pardon from President Biden. That's the word on the street.
Before we go though, how would that pardon impact voters? Or is because President Biden has until January.
That's what, exactly. So they'll slip it in like on January 15th or something.
And if you have a crystal ball, you think he's going to pardon his son as well?
That'd be exactly. That's what the word the word on the street is he's going to pardon Bob Menendez and his son like right before he leaves office with like 300 other people.
You know, since I'm into immigration as well, and I've always been passionate about immigration. Not now because I do that, but I hope that he passed some other executive orders as well, especially with DACA. There are thousands of young people. They should not be held at ransom. Pass an executive order, President Biden. Pass that executive order. I may have to invite Congresswoman Yvette Clarke on to probably talk about that as well, because she has been fighting for immigration reform for a while as well. But thank you so much for your time, Tom. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Have a great weekend.
All right, Tom Anderson there for you guys. My name is Mark Benshop, and we'll be back Monday, same place, same time. Sean Ben, how are you doing? Probably underneath a car, working late, but it's still honest money. Sean, all the way in South. Is he still in South? Sean doesn't take vacation at all, man. He's a hard-working guy there in Guyana. Good night to Sean Ben and his family. All right. So tomorrow, 7 o'clock, guess who's on? Over to you with Wayne Caesar. Wayne is on. Over to you. I don't know who his guest is tomorrow, but he should have a great show. And for those of you who are going to, be at Rhonda Lane's show Sunday, give her a call, support her. The tickets are only $700 Guyana dollars. You can just buy a ticket for $700 Guyana dollars. Sean, I hope you are going to be. Sean Anthony Ben, you can go to Rhonda's stuff out there in Den Amstel. It's only $700, Sean, And for those of you who are going to be at the parade in Brooklyn, it's going to be fun. There's the Guyana Independence Parade that Sunday. And then there's the after parade. It's going to be fun as well. Lots and lots of fun. Listen to this commercial and go out there in your numbers, guys.
Calling all Guyanese and friends of Guyana. Join the annual Guyana Independence Celebration in New York on Sunday, August 18th. The Guyana Independence Parade starts at 12 p.m. at Church and Brooklyn Avenues, Brooklyn, and will proceed to Utica Avenue to Glenwood Avenue for the big after-parade concert at 2 p.m. at 1450 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, featuring Guyanese DJs, top Guyanese artists, performances by Super Terry, Gucci Boss, Nia, Katie Kish. But wait, there's more. Natural Black, DJ Posse, an international superstar, live from Trinidad and Tobago. First time in New York, Young Brother live in concert. Tickets cost $20 in advance. For tickets, check Eventbrite. Pam's Bakery, 4620 Church Avenue. Sherman's Restaurant, 410 Utica Avenue. And Caribbean Vision Center, 1012 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn. Celebrate Guyana to the world on Sunday, August 18th. We celebrate in big. Sponsored by Ascent Remediation and Disaster Response and Ascent Handy and Construction.
All right. It's going to be fun in Brooklyn Sunday. It's going to be lots and lots of fun, guys. All right. Just take your umbrellas, take your Guyana flag. Just go out there and have fun. I believe Wayne Caesar said that we may carry it live. from the ground right here on 107.1 FM. All right, so I'm out of here. God bless you all, and hope you join us tomorrow for Wayne Caesar, that is. Over to you. But for now, I'm out of here. God bless you, all of you. So long. And Shirley Chisholm, lots of interest, lots of things now pointing in her direction. She has paved the way. God bless you guys.
I'm in the mood. I'm feeling rude. I'm feeling hot. I want to run. The feeling exciting. So darling, let's do something. I wanna rub my body on your body. My body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. My body on your body. I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hook up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on, now, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body.